You moved to Grandpa's house and lived upstairs.
Yes, upstairs. We lived upstairs when Greg was born. Now Jeff was born, that same year.
Yeah.
So in that time we moved downstairs to the basement.
So it was a 3-story home.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we moved downstairs to the basement apartment, which was the kitchen was more separated in the living area, and then there was a bedroom there and a bathroom.
That's a nice little home.
Yeah, it really was.
That's sweet.
And so that's where we brought Jeff home in December of that same year. And Dad was, at this time, Dad went with Paul Proctor, and he went looking for uranium.
Yes.
And so that was where we got our money.
Uranium at the time was in demand.
Yep.
We were just starting the not so much only for nuclear warheads, but it was given out as the idea that this is going to be the new futuristic fuel of whatever. Yeah. And honestly, it really has been. It's been an amazing deposit of energy that we might not use a lot, but also for weapons. It wasn't just for domestic reactors. It was for weapons also, and a lot of people got wealthy off of uranium.
Yes, they did.
They would stake out a mine and got be millionaires.
And Dad, like I said, that was where we got.
And so, who would pay Dad for this? Who was he working for?
You'll have to ask Dad that.
Okay.
All I know is that that's where he was, and and he also was building up the fence business.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
I mean, that's what we moved there for. He thought we'd go in the big fence business, and then also, Dad was thinking about what else to do, and he had thought about getting a teacher's certificate and teaching in high school.
Oh.
Okay, he was somehow or another, he was on the campus of, this was all after Greg was born, but before Jeff was born.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the year 1955, and he was on campus for some reason, BYU campus, and he met, what's his name, Rigby? I think it was Rigby that he met. Dad will check that out better than I did.
Okay.
And anyway, he asked Dad if he would come and teach a class at BYU, that some professor was off in the Tulis and didn't want to come back right then. I think he was in the East. I think it was in Saudi Arabia, but I'm not sure. Dad will know more about that.
Mm-hmm.
He'll probably tell you more about that. And anyway, so Dad was hired by BYU to do that.
Wow.
And that was before Jeff was born. So all that year we moved from.
Was he excited about
very excited
teaching at BYU and giving up the fence job? He was excited about that.
Yeah, he was very excited about it. He could see a future in that.
Yeah.
And so he. So that was the starting at BYU, and then of course little by little, I mean, he kept the job and improved, and then that goes on for the next while he was doing that. Well,
When did you move from Grandpa's house into the one on State Street?
Now we've got Jeff born in December. Okay, then we lived in the basement apartment. We lived in the basement apartment, I imagine, for about a year. Okay, then I was pregnant with Mark, and we moved to the house on the highway, which is the State House, State Road House.
Yes.
You remember
State
that
Street.
one? Okay, that one, that's where we moved next. And that's where we brought Mark home.
Okay.
So we brought Greg home to the upstairs apartment, Jeff home to the downstairs apartment, Mark to the home on the highway.
Yeah.
Okay, now this was when Grandpa was making dial-a-cord.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah,
yes.
dial-a-cord, and he wanted to go down to Arizona and see what he could do with that. Well, they had the big home up the one that has the 3 places, and they wanted somebody, so we went and lived in the main part of the house and brought Michelle home there.
You lived on all 3 floors, another home, and had 4 kids.
That's where we had 4 kids. So that's sort of how, and made some good friends in Pleasant Grove. That was a good place.
Yeah.
We wanted to see if Grandpa and Grandma would sell that home, because we thought that would be a good one to buy, but they didn't. Grandma didn't want to buy it, didn't want that to do that. So we decided it was. Michelle was about 6 months old when we bought the home in Provo, the 1020 East 3rd North.
And that's the one you brought me home to.
That's the one that I brought Denise home to, and you home to.
Yeah.
So we've got our 6 kids. We've moved 5 times.
And it was right across from St. Francis,
St. Francis.
Catholic school.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the first house very much. The second house we moved in, just a couple houses down, is where I started to get my. No, I think we lived there twice. We lived in a house before
we went to
Texas, and then a house after Texas.
No, we didn't live in the same house after Texas.
Right, it was a couple of houses down.
Yeah, it was east of that.
So it was the second house in Texas that
you remember.
That I can have my first memories, but my real, my memories that I can start piece together one after another was the greenhouse just further down the.
Yeah, the greenhouse is the one we came back to. Okay, when we were in the house, the first house where we brought you home from the hospital.
Yes.
We had a good friend named Anne.
Thane.
I know her.
Thane.
Anne Thane. And she's the one that got us the greenhouse.
Oh.
So that was how, when we went to. Okay, now all of this time, Dad was taking more classes and going to school and wanting and working toward. He had his master's. That's what he got in Arizona.
Yes.
And then he was going to get a doctorate to be able to stay there and teach at BYU, and and he'll tell you more about that when he's talking, because all I know is that wasn't exactly the most. I mean, we didn't have very much. Let's put it that way.
And you weren't working at this time. You were full-time mommy.
I was a full-time mom.
Yeah.
Well, full-time mom taking care of. I would take care of other people's children sometimes. I took care of. I know his name was Jeff, but I can't remember what his last name. Anyway, but it was mainly Dad that's,
Yeah.
And he was a busy man trying to teach and then also get study. And the day that Denise came, he had a big physics test, I think it was, and it was he really popped out on that one because
he didn't do well.
He was up all night. Okay, so we had Denise and you there, and Dad was looking for a place to go on to get his doctorate degree. He was looking at different places. Now I don't know I guess I'll tell you my version of it.
Yeah, sure.
And because he was looking at one in, I know Stanford, California. He did. We went out there and looked at that and decided that if he was going to do that we would move there, that we would go live with my mother and father in Arizona.
Oh.
And then we would try to save up enough money for him to come about twice a month.
Oh, okay.
While he was getting his doctorate degree.
You didn't want the family there because of the atmosphere?
It was more that we didn't have any much money, so we had to have lived in pretty well the.
I see what you're saying.
And we didn't feel like that would be the right thing for the kids to be in.
Yeah.
And we felt like that St. David would be better. And that little tiny house next to their home was the one that we were
I
gonna
remember
move in.
that one.
But there was also the fact that you might sleep there, but you'd have lived mostly in Grandma's home. So
Yeah,
anyhow,
that's probably true.
we had thought of that. The one that there was a one back east that he considered, and I can't remember what it was. And then he found, then this man, one of the professors at BYU had gone to Rice University for something or another, and he came back and told Dad that there was grants for Rice University. And so that was a grant that he could get, if he could get that, he would get so much money, and then for each one that he had, would get so much money.
Which was 6 by now.
Yeah, which is 6. So we had 8 people. Set his salary and 7
5
other
dependents.
ones.
Oh, that's
And
funny. They probably didn't bargain with that, did they?
They didn't realize what kind of thing they were getting into. But anyhow, so that was it. And so we prepared. We were going to sell a home in Provo, so we got that ready to sell and sold that, and then we moved to a place that BYU owned. You know which one? You've never heard of that?
Mm-mm.
I can't remember what the address is, but it was a place that the male students would live in this wintertime. And so there was I know there was 2 bedrooms upstairs, 3 bedrooms upstairs, 4 bedrooms upstairs, because Dad and I had one. You had one all by yourself. I pushed, you were a year, or not even a year, I don't think. And I pushed the bed up against the wall so you wouldn't roll on that side and put pillows all along, because I didn't have a crib for you. So put you in that room, and then Michelle and Denise was in a bedroom up at the head of the stairs, and then Mark and Greg and Jeff all were in a room. I think there was about 6 beds in there where students would be. And
Was this during the summer, so they weren't there?
Yeah,
I see.
It was the summer.
I see what you're doing.
It was in the summer of, let's see, you were born in '62, so that would be.
I think it's those dorms that are just south of Provo Temple. Is that where they would have been?
It wasn't a dorm. It was a home.
Oh, it was an actual home.
It was a natural home that they had converted
okay.
to a dorm,
Okay.
and it was. I'd have to take you.
What were your thoughts of packing up and moving to Houston?
Well, my thoughts were, we got to do something. We're going to have to. Dad's got to make a living, and if he's going to make a living, he's got to have a doctor's degree. So we're just going to do it.
Yeah,
that's all.
And that sounds so much like you.
What?
That sounds exactly like you.
Yeah,
You just got to do it.
It's just one of those things. You just get ready.